Hi, my name is Karen Hodges, and in this session we're going to take a look at alerting. Alerting is a great feature in Splunk that allows you to go from being reactive to looking at what's going in your log files to proactive. So once you know a little bit about what you're looking for, you can tell Splunk to look for that for you and tell you when certain things have occurred. Before we get into the details of alerts, let's do a quick recap of a couple of concepts related to searching. Here I'm looking at a search of password and fail star and not source type equals PS. And the search criteria is going to get concatenated with the last 15 minutes, which is currently selected from the time range picker. Let's go ahead and execute this search. As the search is executing, you get a green spinning dial just below the search bar. When the search has completed, you get the green check. This indicates that we're working with a static set of results. So this is one type of alert that we'll be able to build. We'll be able to execute a search on a regular interval and take that set of static results, check for a condition, and then do something if a particular condition is met. If we compare that to a real-time search with the same criteria, let's say we do it over a 1-minute window. In this case, we will have the green spinning dial showing us all the new data as it's coming into the log file. And the green spinning dial goes forever and ever with a real-time search, and data is updated as it comes into the log file. So there's no set of static results that we're working with in this example. We're getting real-time searches against real-time data updating in our index. We'll be able to build alerts off of real-time searches as well. So if you need to be monitoring ongoing activity for a particular reason and keep a hold of what's going on in your environment, you can build an alert off of a real-time search. Now, with real-time alerts, we'll be able to differentiate between two different scenarios. Do you want to get an alert every time you get a blip on this timeline? Or do you want to do some type of test for a condition before you trigger the alert? We can do both. Let's go ahead and finalize this real-time search first. And we're going to start with a static search. I'm going to go ahead and execute my search over the last 15 minutes, though that's not the schedule I'm going to run my alert on. Just is going to get my search executed. So now that I have a search that I like, that I want to alert on, I simply come to the Create button, which is displayed just below the time range picker, and from Create I'm going to click Alert. This will bring me into a 3-step wizard, the first step of which is to name my alert. I'm going to go ahead and name this alert 5-minute login fail. I'm going to set my schedule to run on a schedule once every, and then specify a time range. So this is not the real-time scenario. In this example, I'm going to run this search on a schedule, and in my example, I want to run it every 5 minutes. If I select from the pull-down menu, you can see that my default options are schedule once every hour, day, week, and month. Well, I want to do it every 5 minutes. So I'm going to select cron schedule. Cron schedule allows you to use regular cron-like syntax to be able to specify exactly when you want this scheduled search to run. And if you need to know more about how to specify a particular schedule using cron, there is a link here that you can click on. I'm going to go ahead though and type the syntax that I know for a 5-minute schedule. And it would look like this. Now this is defining how often the search is going to run. Now I need to determine every time I run the search, how much data do I want to collect? Well, if I'm running this search every 5 minutes, I probably want to get 5 minutes worth of data. Then I'm going to take a look at the results that come back from that search, and I only want to do something if a particular condition is met. We're going to start with something simple. I want to trigger this alert if the number of results that comes back from this search of 5 minutes worth of data is greater than 10. You'll notice that I have several options available on the trigger if selection, number of results, or custom condition is met. If you select custom condition is met, you can search within that data. Also, from this secondary selection, I can choose greater than, less than, equal to, or not equal to. I'm going to go ahead and stick with number of results is greater than 10. So every 5 minutes, I'm going to collect 5 minutes of data for all those events that match my search criteria, password and fail star, and not source type equals PS. If the number of results is greater than 10, I want to do something. What is it that I want to do? Well, that's what step 2 of the wizard will define. You'll notice that I have 3 options from the wizard. I can send an email, run a script, or show the triggered alerts in Alert Manager. Alert Manager is a tool available within Splunk, and it's a great way to test your alerts before you turn on email or script executions. If you select the Send Email option, that will pop open a series of fields that need to be completed with respect to sending an email. So here I would enter the email addresses to which I want to send this alert. The subject will default to Splunk Alert and then the name that I gave this alert, but you can override it if you like. And then you have an option to include the search results as part of the email. And you can include it as an attachment, as a CSV file, or in line, meaning it will be part of the text of the email message. I'm going to go ahead actually though and turn Send Email off for this one. The next thing you could do is run a script. Notice that the script needs to be in the bin scripts directory, and here you would specify the name of the script file. Again, I'm going to turn that off for now. For now, I'm simply going to show my triggered alerts in the Splunk Alert Manager. And when doing so, I can specify a severity. Let's start with our first example with the lowest severity. Changing the severity will make it easier for us to search for our alerts based on the different examples we're going to do here. Then I have an option to execute my actions on all results or each result. Let's hold off on that for just a minute. Let's select this just as the default, and we're going to say all results, and click on Next. Just like other objects that you can create in Splunk, at time of creation you can determine whether you want to keep this object private or share it as read-only to all users of the current app. I'll go ahead and keep it private for now. Then we go ahead and click Finish. So now, once the 5-minute interval has passed, I will be able to go into the Alert Manager and take a look at the alert that has resulted. Now, I can do a quick test here while I'm waiting and type into my search bar earliest equals -5M, snap to the minute, and take a look at the sample results. You can see that in the last 5-minute interval, there are 33 events that have matched my search criteria. So one of the options that you have available to you with an alert is, do you want one alert that represents all 33 events? Or do you want 33 different alerts for this particular scenario? It depends on what you want to do. If you're going to run a script to enter each of these into a call ticketing system, for example, you might need a separate ticket for each one. Or maybe you only need one ticket. This is where the selection of all results or each result comes into play. So if I go back to the Create Alert option, I'll give this one a name. I'll just call this Testing Alerts. We're not actually going to save this. I'm going to run this on a schedule again, and I'm going to say again to run it on cron schedule, and we're going to run it every 5 minutes, just like we did before. And then again, I'm going to specify earliest time equals -5M, snap to the minute, and again, number of results is greater than 10. So exactly the same alert that I saw before. But this time when I get to the Actions section, notice that I have an option to select Execute Actions on all results or each result. I had selected all results in my previous example. So that would mean I would get one alert representing those 33 matches. If I select each result, I would get 33 alerts. Now, in addition to executing actions on all results or each result, you can also configure throttling. This alert is scheduled to run every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, if I get more than 10 results, I'm going to get an alert. And if that alert is paging me through an email or whatever the case may be, that might get a little bit overwhelming. So I could say, after executing the actions, don't do it again for another, and then specify a time range. This is generally going to be some type of interval of your schedule. So if I'm running that schedule search every 5 minutes, I might want to wait another 10 minutes before I get my next alert. When you have execute actions on all results, you have the option to throttle based on time. Now, if I select each result, I actually have an additional option, and this relates to field values. So remember, when I talk about getting an alert for each result, that means in this example I would have 33 alerts. Well, maybe that's a little excessive. Maybe that's not quite what I want. I don't want just one alert, but I don't need 33. What I do want is one alert for each user that's represented. So I can say suppress results with the same field value of user. So now if I have 33 matching events, but I have 7 unique values of user, this would only trigger 7 events. More than 1 and less than 33. And it would only do the actions, again, suppressed for the next 10 minutes. So you have some nice selections for the granularity level of your alert. You can specify all results, each result, and then with each result you can suppress for the same field name. Very nice features. Let's go ahead and cancel this. Let's take a look at the Alert Manager and see if our other alert has fired yet. Here we have our first alert that has fired, and you can see that at 1 o'clock and 25 seconds our 5-minute login failed alert fired. You can see that this is the severity of info, and notice that the mode is digest. If you don't select each result, you select all results, the mode will be digest. If you select each result, the mode will be each result. And so if I look at the view results link right here, and this is really handy, I don't have to go digging up the search results anywhere. They're accessible right here to me from the Alert Manager. Let's take a look at how many results came back from that particular alert. At that particular time, there were 28 matching events. So again, this is going to be the difference between one alert or 28 alerts, or if I throttle based on a field, I could make it somewhere in between. So that's an alert based off of a scheduled search. But remember that we talked about real-time searches as well. So imagine, if you would, I'm watching this real-time search over a 1-minute window. And again, I have the option to say, do I want to be alerted every time there's a blip on the screen? Or do I want to be alerted only when those blips meet some condition? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Once I have the search I'm interested in, I can go ahead and click on Create and click Alert. I'm going to go ahead and give this alert a name of Real-Time Failed Login. I'm going to say Always, because I'm going to select from the option Trigger in Real Time whenever a result matches. So anytime I get a new blip on this timeline, I'm going to get an alert. Versus Monitor in Real Time, which gives me a trigger if condition. So just like I had the scheduled search trigger if selection, I have that when I use a monitor in a real-time rolling window. And so in this case, if I select 1 minute, I'm going to say if I get more than 10 results within that 1 minute, then the actions will occur. But let's go ahead and start with always. Notice with always, there's no trigger if. I'm going to run a real-time search, and anytime I get a blip on the timeline, I'm going to do the actions. Let's go over here to our actions. Let's go ahead and trigger this in Alert Manager, and let's set this severity to low, one level higher than the alert we ran before. Again, you can suppress for results with the same field value. Let's go ahead and click Next, and we'll keep this private and finish it. So now, every time a new event shows up in my results, I'm going to get an alert. Let's go ahead while we're waiting and set up another alert that runs in real time, but actually only triggers if a condition is met. So we're going to call this real time, failed login, only if. And so rather than selecting trigger in real time whenever a result matches, we're going to specify a rolling window and say if a condition meets within that rolling window period, then we're going to trigger the alert. I need the rolling window because I need to know which set of data I'm comparing the condition to. When I had a scheduled search, that was automatically defined by the set of results from that scheduled search execution. So let's leave that as real time over a rolling window of 1 minute. And again, we're only going to trigger if the number of results is greater than, let's say, 2. Click on Next. And we're going to log this in Alert Manager, and we'll set this one to medium. And then we're going to suppress any further actions for, let's say, 2 minutes. So rather than getting an alert every minute, I'm going to give myself a break and an opportunity to go back and fix any issues that these alerts have identified. We'll click Next again, keep it private, and click on Finish. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we have in our Alert Manager. Now you can see I have many more alerts. The info alerts were from my scheduled 5-minute intervals. So you can see every 5 minutes I'm going to get an alert triggered if the number of results was greater than 10. In addition to that, I have my real-time search running, and the always condition is going to give me a result if in real time I get any single result popping up on that timeline. So if I take a look at any one of these, this one did in fact only find one event. So I am getting an alert triggered for just a single event. The second real-time search that I configured with a severity of medium, remember, checked a condition over a 1-minute window. And I was looking for any instance where I had more than 2 results. So as I watch my timeline here, I might actually have an alert from that event. So now if I take a look here at the 4th one down, this is the one I set to medium, and this was the real-time login failure only if. And so this one was run over a 1-minute window, and remember I said I would have had to have at least 2 results in order for that alert to trigger. So let's go and take a look. And sure enough, that particular 1-minute window had 3 events, and so the alert triggered. So depending on what your needs are, you can schedule alerts so that a search is scheduled and runs on a regular interval, or if you really need to monitor in real time, you can do that as well. Go ahead and cancel this real-time search for now. And let's take a look at a couple more features that we have available in the Alerts Manager. You'll notice that across the top of the Alert Manager, I have several filters. So I can filter alerts based on the app in which they originated, by the owner, by the severity, or by the alert. Notice if I change my severity to medium, I am going to see only those events that I scheduled real-time login failure only if, because that's the one I set to medium severity. So from the alert list, I can select a particular alert. In this case, you'll want to make sure that you reset your severity because you may not recall the exact combination that you had there. But so here I'm going to limit to a particular alert and see how many times and when that has fired. Now, if I'm looking at the results here and I think that I haven't quite got this alert configured exactly the way I want it, I can go ahead right from here and click on the Edit Search link. And this will take me directly into the search on which this alert is based, and I can change my configuration settings. So again, I could change the time range, change the actions, change the throttling, whatever it is that I'm interested in changing. Notice that from this edit window, you also have the ability to enable to add this triggered alert to an RSS feed. We don't have that option from the creation menu, but you do have that option from the RSS. Maybe in this case, I'm going to enable the email, and so I do want to send myself an email because this is a very important alert that I need to keep my eye on. So I go ahead and click Save, and now I have two actions for this single alert. When I go back into the Alert Manager, notice there's one last button that I can select on the end of the column, and this is to delete this alert. This is not deleting the saved search and the alert that's running. This is deleting this alert entry from the Alert Manager. So it's not going to impact the alert that's running, it's just cleaning up my Alert Manager window. Notice down at the bottom of this window, I also can select All and Delete if I wanted to clear them all out at once. That gets the first page and clear out the second page. So now I can refresh my Alert Manager window and watch for new alerts coming in. So again, in summary, once we have a search criteria that we like, we simply click on the Create menu and click on Alert. You will be prompted to give the alert a name and then select the schedule. Again, you have two real-time options and one scheduled option. Real-time whenever a result matches, or real-time with a condition. Depending on your selection here, you'll have a trigger if selection, and then you can fill this out and go to Next. Of course, with Next we saw we have multiple actions, and the level of granularity comes from the Action tab as well, as to whether we want to alert on all results, each result, and if we want to throttle down into that.